So picture this. You're working for $9 an hour at the Walmart as a cart pusher, doing the best that you can, busting your tail. It's hot, you're sweaty, and the really only best thing you've got to show for it is a bad sunburn. That was me just a few years ago, and all I could think about was what I was going to be taking to the cruising on Saturday night. And I kept thinking, man, I gotta have the baddest car, I want the nicest thing there, and I want everybody to notice that I'm there when I pull in. Now everybody wants that. I mean, you obviously want something that's respectable and shows a lot of street cred whenever you pull into a show, and everybody thinks that you have to spend so much money and have a six-figure car just to have some kind of respect. And that's not the case. You can have just as much fun with a car like this 1967 Dodge Dart 270 as you could anything. I want to show you guys that you can do this just as easy as anything, on a budget, and have a lot of fun doing it. Now a lot of you guys ask me, I can't find this car, I don't know how to do it, I don't know how to work on these things, and I don't think I can afford it. I'm going to prove you wrong. And just for $2,500, we're going to have something that is awesome at the weekend cruising. Paid $1,300 for this thing, and we're going to spend $1,200 to make it a lot nicer than what it is currently. So follow along. Part 1, which is a video you're watching right now, is going to be the shakedown test. How to find a car that's right for you, and look out for some obvious signs that can warn you off from buying a lemon. So the search for the right vehicle is probably the hardest part of any kind of budget build. Now you see, this is a fairly straight little car. The interior's pretty nice in it. And it's all original. It looks like the seats have been recovered at one time. White with red interior. Nice little car. I mean, even the headliner is still pretty much intact. Check up here though. We have a little bit of damage. Looks like somebody nudged the car up into something. But thankfully they protected the hood. The hood didn't get damaged. Bumper got hit. This fender got hit. So we go around to the back side. Another thing we noticed, we got a little bit of rust bubbling up down here. Not a big issue. And our tail panel right here on the deck lid had some Bondo patchwork to it, and that's honestly okay. We can make that work. Now under the hood, we've got the almighty Slant 6. This is a single barrel with a Holley carburetor, and there's been some work done to it. So up front we notice we've got, somebody's repainted the engine, just to make it look a little bit nicer. Nothing crazy. And it's got new shocks. So we'll see here, there's the new shocks right here coming through the shock towers. And it rides actually pretty nice. Somebody put all 4 shocks on it. It's got new 13-inch tires on it. Those will have to do something with that, but they work for now. And it's not a fast car. It's not a loud car, but it's an old car. So the best part about these little 4-doors is the fact that they are probably not going to be messed with. They're not going to have a teenager messing with the car at first. So this car has a lot of great things about it. All the wiring works. The brakes are, they're kind of iffy, but they work. And a lot of the little details that you'll have to sort out with, like if you bought a Challenger or a Charger for $1,300, you're just gonna have a rolling body. This car can run and drive just as it is. Now you're gonna probably wonder, how did I find this car? I actually got this on Facebook Marketplace, and the guy was asking $2,000 for it. We worked back and forth, we haggled, and I worked him down to $1,300. So that is our initial budget. We will start with that, and our total budget for this entire build is going to be no more than $2,500. We will stop it right there. So we're gonna do some backyard budget stuff to make this thing work. You're probably wondering, well, I can't find this. I can't see any kind of deals in my area. You can find these kind of cars. They're everywhere. You just have to spend the time and do your research. Now, I didn't find this car overnight. I look on Facebook Marketplace pretty much every single day at cars, and this one didn't pop up just the first time I looked. It took a long time to actually find something that's decent of a car for this project. So don't just expect it to happen overnight. Just because I was able to do it in one video doesn't mean that you'll be able to do it in one day. It's going to take some time and effort and research to make the car right. And it doesn't have to be a Dodge Dart. It can be a GM, it can be a Ford, But being that I'm more of a Mopar guy, I wanted to get something that I really enjoy and start back with my roots of a 67 Dart. And this car is really clean for what it is, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have its issues. This is why we got it for such a good deal. And we'll walk through those issues here in just a minute. So like I said, check out Facebook Marketplace, check out Craigslist, check out eBay. And the good thing about this car is you're probably wondering, what do you do if you don't have a trailer? This car could have driven home, but I didn't do it because I had a trailer with me just in case it didn't, so I figured just trailer it, There's no issues with renting a U-Haul, renting a truck. You can do that, or call a friend, call your uncle, your brother, anything like that, your sister, whoever might have a truck or a trailer. Just give a shout. Maybe they can let you have something, maybe a two-wheel dolly. There are ways to get vehicles from one place to another. And also, don't be afraid to make an offer that may seem low, but don't be afraid to offer fair prices. I offered $1,300 and that's what I got. So don't be afraid to, haggle back and forth. You just got to learn how to do it. Be respectful, be polite, but go out there and do it. So let's walk through some of the issues that we have to work through. So take a step back with me and let's pretend, or say, maybe you don't know a thing about cars. That's okay. We're not going to do anything that requires major machine work, any kind of major overhauling. We're going to do basic maintenance. This is something you can't do with a simple set of hand tools that we got over here laying on the table. You can do this with a socket set and a ratchet. This is all the things that we're not going to cover anything crazy. This is no machine work required. We're going to make this thing work. So first thing that this thing has is a weird high idle. What's happened is this thing has a bit of a misfire at idle. It's stuttering, and what they did to compensate was actually turn up the idle screw to make it run, because if it was not turned up, then the thing would die. So there's a little bit of a hesitation, a misfire, but as soon as you go off and you start driving, it's fine. But we need to fix that. And I'm starting to wonder that maybe there's a possibility that maybe the carburetor might be bad or it needs a rebuild. The filter could be stopped up, and if that's not the issue, then our gas tank could be bad because it looks like it's the original tank. A lot of times you can't trust these original tanks, unfortunately. So I'm thinking that we might be able to pull the filter, see what's inside it, and we could pull the front bolt cover on the front of the Holly here, this little single barrel Holly, and just check out what's inside it, because there might be a lot of sediment and residue in there. I had the same issue on my 73 Duster, rebuilt the carburetor, and then it got full of sediment again, but that was because of the gas tank. So first order of business though is we will tear this carburetor apart once we get a rebuild kit. We're not going to do any kind of work right now. Just wanted to give you guys an idea of what's to come. Something else that I've noticed is that possibly the brakes need to be rebuilt. Not too sure what's going on here. I don't know if they've ever been touched. So I actually noticed a pretty bad shimmy up on the left front on the other side. But I wanted to show you guys Repo right here. He's sleeping right here up under me, but he doesn't want to move. So we'll just set the camera up around him. But anyway, I'm thinking what's happening is that we might have a drum or a shoe on the brakes that is kind of out of round, or maybe it just needs to resurface. We just need to get new shoes for it, but that's not expensive. We'll add that into the budget. So I'm thinking that we could probably do a total brake rebuild just to get that out of the way, or just check everything over, because it's important to make sure your brakes work just as good as the thing goes. But we'll cover that. And drum brakes are not hard to do. They look complicated, but we can do it. Ain't that right, buddy? Feel good about it? So I want to just scroll through Facebook Marketplace really quick and see just what we can find here right now. We got a lot of parts, we got a lot of, here's my previously viewed vehicles, you can see. So here's a good little truck, $1,200 for a 76 Dodge M880. It's like your old military or forestry trucks. Let's see what he says about it. Running M880, the 318, bought as a hobby car and replaced the following. He's already done rear brakes, voltage regulator, ignition coil. So, you know, it'd be a good little wheeling truck, good little fun truck. Nothing crazy on that one. Keep scrolling. Here's a nice little Mustang, $3,000. That's a little bit out of our budget range, so let's keep scrolling. We got parts. Here's a nice little Dart, 73 Dodge Dart. Here's your little two-door. Is this one a V8? Sailor Trade, runs and drives, 73 Dodge Dart Swinger. So if they're saying that it runs and drives, might be a little bit better off with this one. So let's scroll through our pictures here. It's a slant 6 as well, but that's still okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But this is pretty much the same type of vehicle that we're working on today. So they're still out there. You can find something like this. So 2,500 bucks. I would probably offer him maybe around 17 for it. Just the fact that it's a 2-door and it is a 73, I would offer that much for it. But yeah, there's stuff on Marketplace. You just have to look for it, and that's the thing. You just keep scrolling until you find something that you like. So just to give you an idea of what I'd said to make an offer, I said if you take $1,200 and everything checks out, I'd buy it from you and pick it up Friday morning if you're available. All I need is a notarized bill of sale, which we can get from any local bank. And the only reason I needed that was because it came from Alabama, and to take a car and title it in Tennessee, you need a notarized bill of sale and a tag receipt from whenever they had it actually in their name. Alabama didn't use titles up until like maybe 75, I believe. So anything before that, you would have to actually get a title on your own. That's no big deal. In most states, you're not going to have to worry about this. This is just going from Alabama to Tennessee. And I did get a title for it. It was very simple to do. But you can see here, he says $1,300 and it's yours. Don't be afraid of making an offer. The worst they can say is no. And if they say no, then that's okay. You know, you'll just have to work it out. And if it doesn't work out, then it wasn't meant to be. You just need to make sure you're doing the right thing and don't get in over your head and get excited over buying a car. So the best thing about this car is that a lot of parts are easy to find. You know, you can find a lot of replacement aftermarket stuff. It's really easy to do. These cars have a lot of support for them, and you can be able to find what you need. So as you can see, here's a lot of the damage. We've got fenders for it. We'll add that to the budget. We won't just say, hey, I got these for free because they're on a parts card. But I'm going to add those to the budget, and we'll reflect the price accordingly. Got headlight trim rings. I actually paid for those. So we'll go through each step of the way. But the main goal that I want you guys to really kind of get from this is that you can do everything that I do on this channel. The only thing that is limiting you from doing anything is what you limit yourself to. You can do pretty much anything you want. You know, with enough time and money, you can do anything. But we're going to limit it to 2,500 bucks on this one. But let's say you have a whole summer or a whole year or however long you want. If you have the cash to do it and the time to work on the car, you can make this exact same process happen. So tune in and make sure that you are subscribed and you got the notification clicked, because I want you guys to follow along. This same thing can apply to any age. It doesn't matter if you're young, it doesn't matter if you're old. What's up, Rico? Come here, buddy. Come here. Come on, get in the shot. Come on over here, it's okay. He wants in here. Hey, buddy, what's going on? Good boy. You also need a good shop dog. But like I'm saying, guys, what you need to do is you got to figure out what you're capable of, and the only thing you can do to learn that is to actually get out there and do it on your own. Get you some hand tools and just tear into stuff. You know, do your research and don't be afraid to mess up. Don't be afraid to make a mistake, because I have made so many mistakes working on these cars in the past. Not everything you see is just perfect. You know, TV shows make you think that you have to have the biggest and baddest car and you've got to spend at least $100,000 or your car's not worth anything. That's not the truth. I don't have a lot of money in this car, and I don't intend to have a lot of money in this car. And at the end of the day, if I wanted to take and sell this car, I could probably make money on it. So that's where you want to stick. You know, think about what you can make if you sold this car, and think about what your budget needs to be. And, you know, you want to keep that in mind. You don't want to be just throwing cash at anything you can. First things first, let's have a little bit of a shakedown drive. Let me talk about that little hesitation I was telling you about. When you hear the misfire every now and then, engine's kind of shaking a bit. We don't want that. Come out back and we'll listen to this. Hear how a cylinder's dropping every now and then? We don't want that either. Some things to look for is to make sure that you have a transmission that'll shift into all three gears if you're running one of these old 3-speeds. This car is very solid. It runs smooth once you get to going up to speed. Transmission shifts out perfectly fine. Speedometer actually does work and it's accurate, but you can hear that little noise. You can just hear like a little vibration. Let me hit the brakes real quick. Oh, and she died. I blame that on the carburetor. And we're back. First, second into third. Shift smooth, just perfectly fine. There's really not a lot of issues with this car as it is. The heater actually comes on, drives pretty straight, the alignment's pretty nice, and the only really big issue is the carburetor and possibly the gas tank and the brakes. So we'll have to sort out a lot of these issues and make things work. And I don't know if you can hear it, but there's just kind of a roar right now, and I'm thinking that we're catching a spot on the drum that is just slightly out of round, making it to where it's causing a little bit of an issue. So I'm going to come up into this turn, and I'm going to hit the brakes pretty hard, and we're going to see what it does. See if you can hear it. You might be able to see it in the steering wheel. I don't know if you can hear that. So I'm really thinking that the drums need to be either resurfaced or just completely replaced. We'll have to see the max diameter that they've been resurfaced to, if they have been. Another thing I'm noticing too, whenever I got the car initially, is that the temp gauge is showing way higher than what it's actually reading. I thought the car was running hot at first. It actually had pegged the gauge whenever I drove it one day. And I got back and I checked it with the thermal scanner, and it was actually right on the money. It was where it needed to be. So I'm thinking that we might have some issues there that we can sort out, but I'll talk about that later. So I know a lot of you want to see how quick this thing is because you just bought a $1,300 car. Let's see what she'll do. Oh, she sputters. Oh. Wide open throttle's not good. That was just about pulling into traffic. Now you gotta hear it. I can actually feel it too. It's in the left front. I'm actually holding the brake down right now. If I let go, it goes away. Push the brake. So we talked about mechanical issues to search for. Now let's talk about what we see in the body. Now the first thing you notice here is obviously our fender's issue. So that's nothing that you can't unbolt and then bolt a new one on. That's a simple fix. But I want to talk about the things that are a little bit more not so obvious. So come back here and you'll think, wow, the paint looks really nice. Is this thing original? I would have to guess no, and there's a few things that tell me this. First of all, we've got some cracks in the paint. You really wouldn't see original paint doing that, especially seeing this up under it. And also, the biggest kicker is this patchwork Bondo, and probably going to end up having to replace the deck lid altogether. But you notice that the Bondo's cracking right here, but it's got the paint that we have on the exterior on top of it. So that's what really is telling me that we've had a repaint. So look right here, you can see kind of looks like original paint versus non-original paint. I can get a nail up on this, so that's looks like original paint right here, and then this might be rust actually right here, why it's so discolored. But I think that they went with the factory color, because if we go in and look at the door jambs, also one more spot here I noticed, you can really see it right here. That's factory color, and then that's factory primer under that. You can see the sanding marks where they smoothed it out and then just painted on top of it with our new color. Look on the inside of the door jamb, pretty similar to what they have. I mean, they matched it pretty well. You know, it's probably the same color, and they very well could have actually painted the door jambs. I don't know, I can't say for a fact. It doesn't, I mean, it looks very similar to what's on the exterior, but a lot of the times you can see a mismatch in this color. But I'm really just guessing, and I'm about 99% sure that this car has had a repaint in the past, which is okay. And a lot of the times that actually helps the car, because my Duster had a repaint in the past, and that honestly saved it from rusting. Now this car does have a little bit of a rust issue back here. Now these cars are pretty bad to rust around the back glass. We can patch that, or just honestly leave it alone if it doesn't bother us. Got some rust building up right here, and some rust building up on the back. A couple pinholes right here, but I mean, honestly, you probably could sand that down, smooth it out, and fix it. So not a lot of rust in this car, and like I said, the 4 doors aren't going to have a lot of issues because they've been taken care of through their life, and this one is a good example of it. It's a 50-year-old car, and it's still holding up very well. You could take it to a car show like it is and have a lot of fun with it, but we're going to make it even better. So just to give you an example of some bad bodywork, here's Romp. So check out where they actually, looks like they had some factory mirrors on it, and they just bondoed over the hole. So they didn't try to weld it up, clean it up, bondoed over it here and there, and then just left the 2 holes from the top of the mirror right there. And they had some rust forming down in the bottom in the rocker, and all they did was bondo over it. And as you can see, over time, that bondo is going to crack, and then it'll get moisture behind it and actually make the spot even worse than what it was before. And that's what's starting to happen on our deck lid on the Dart. All that bondo is cracking, and then it gets moisture trapped up in behind it, it's over. So to make this as accurate and laid out as possible, we're going to keep a running tally and a list of every item we purchased and then every price that we paid. And as you can see, we started with the initial budget of buying the car for $1,300. We're not going to go over $2,500 whatsoever. Now this is not going to count having to buy any kind of tool or any kind of insurance, tags, anything like that. This is just going to be the car and parts that go onto it. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and just kind of recap on what I want the essence of this playlist to be. It's pretty much going to be pre-16-year-old Dylan, what he went through whenever he was going through the same situation. I had my first car, a 1974 Dodge Dart Sport, and it was a running and driving car, totally functional, street legal, had everything that was needed to work on done. It was basically a functioning car. And it was a lot worse off than what I started with the 67, and it needed a lot more work. So I wanted to kind of flash back to that, because whenever I was 15, I thought, well, I need the nicest paint job, I need the fastest car, I need this and that, I need it to be the best car that I possibly can do. I stripped the car to the bare chassis. I mean, there was nothing left. It was just a rolling shell. And Dad actually told me before I did it, hey, don't tear this car apart, you're gonna wish you didn't do it. Because at 15, you're not going to have any money to make this work. At least I didn't. And he was right, because by the time I turned 16, there was no Dart Sport. I didn't have any kind of cool car to drive to high school. I just had my daily driver, and that was it. So looking back, I wish I'd never torn it apart, because I missed out on so many cool memories of that car, and ended up selling it at 17 to fund my Dart Swinger, my 72, because it was just a nicer car altogether. I started out with a way better foundation, and I left it alone. You know, when I got it done, I drove the car. And that's really what I want to get to, is that you don't have to have the biggest budget, you don't have to have a 6-figure car, you don't have to have something that's just like crazy ridiculous power. You can have something that's really respectable and cool, and it doesn't matter what other people think. As long as you enjoy what you're doing and you have a really nice car that is, in your eyes, the best, you know, it doesn't matter. Then that's what you really need to strive for, having fun and making those memories, working on your car, and being proud of what you have achieved and what you've learned along the way. And like I said, I made a ton of mistakes in the past working on these cars, but that's just how you learn. So that's going to do it for today's video. If you liked the video, please leave a like down below. If you have any questions for me, feel free to leave a comment. You can also email me at the very end of the video, whichever way it's facing. And you can also send your projects to that same email. Order your t-shirts and your stickers. By the time this posts, I'm probably past 180,000 subscribers, which is just insane. It's honestly just ridiculous how many that is. So I want to thank each and every single one of you for allowing me to be able to have the platform to talk to you guys about stuff that's near and dear to my heart, because this is something that really I strive to spread this word. I want people to know that you don't have to have this big budget stuff, and it's really something that matters a lot to me. So I appreciate you guys giving me that platform. So every single one of you, I can't thank you enough for what you've done, for allowing me to be able to make videos like this for you. So again, thank you so much. I'm done talking. See you in the next one. Yeah, our gasket's ripped. Here comes the gas. Ta-da! And here we go. Our new bumper. Hopefully all our adjustments there on the brackets line up the way they're supposed to.